Well.
Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Helmer.
Here.
Mr. Value.
Here.
And I'm here. We just need a motion to approve the agenda.
Any extra you were at down there today?
I do not.
Make a motion on the agenda.
I'll support that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need to approve the January 3rd minutes. Sure.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approve the storage shed specs.
Mike Schulte had called me, and he had one question. When it talked to 1.9 wide by 7 tall garage doors, no opener required, he was wondering if we should have a garage door opener on that.
That's for the back side,
Oh.
heading to the other streets, really just for convenience,
Okay.
if you ever wanted to access the
Okay.
street, because the
So
building's pretty much gonna block
Okay,
most of that area.
okay.
So it's not really something that would come and go on a common use, that's why I was told we did not need it
Use it
over.
very much.
Yeah, so we did not need an opener. It allows for pull-through operations if you ever wanted to. I did meet with Kevin, and consensus was that only the one bay needed to be additionally secured and heated, as opposed to 2 bays.
I need a motion to approve that.
And then the bid, I gave you what I was gonna put in the paper, and I didn't know when the board wanted you to complete it by. Is there a certain date? And then I had it that we would receive specs until February 10th. Is that enough time, or do I need to send it out a little bit more, or? I don't know what the board's wishes were on that.
I would say 1 month seems short.
Okay,
I want at least 6 weeks, maybe 2 months.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
so maybe if I get the paper on the 18th, so we're thinking maybe the end of February or the first part of March? What do you think?
Let's call it the 1st of March.
First of March. First
I
of
don't know
March.
where that falls.
So if I had specs
Wednesday.
like March 3rd,
March 3rd, Friday.
and then,
Yeah.
because the board probably will meet on the 7th, and they can review it then, okay? And is there a time where you want to complete it by in there?
When you completed construction.
Yeah, construction.
The spec now says 3 months from notice to receipt to turnkey occupancy with punch list items diligently pursued after that. So you'll be able to occupy within 3 months from notice to receipt. So that gives you time to negotiate contract listed in the spec right now.
Okay.
It says 3 months construction
Okay,
time
maybe
to
don't-
turnkey.
Maybe I don't even need to put it in the spec. Okay.
All in, it's gonna cost us way more than we initially thought it was gonna cost.
It has more bells and whistles than originally contemplated as a cold storage shed.
I would approve those shed specs in the end. I'd make a motion.
Motion, we have support.
Make a motion on the specs.
You'll support it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we got department heads. And I guess we'll start with Marcel.
Busy working on budgets, we just got valuations done. Barb and Chantry have been busy working on the drainage notices that have to be sent out for the public hearing that we're having. So, doing a few passports, so we're traveling again, so.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
Same thing as Rochelle, working on budgets, and I just been compiling some end of the year stats, and the one I'd like to point out is that, everybody thinks of our office as law enforcement only, but we had 4,140 calls for service last year, which means our dispatchers answered the phone or the radio 4,140 times. So, I'd like to give a shout out to them.
Keep him busy, huh?
You can keep them busy, that's right.
Thank you. Nick?
Budgets, moving snow, probably not as much snow as Keith's guys have moved, but moving snow nonetheless. And then, probably the next biggest thing is our Trout Fest event is scheduled for February 4th. That's coming together. I think as of right now, we've got close to $3,000 worth of prizes donated to us, so should be a good one yet again.
Keith?
Thank you. So, snow. The last week of December, we put in 410 hours of overtime collectively. And the first week of January, we put in another 230 hours of overtime. So we're at 642 hours of overtime for just this 2-week event that we had. We do budget 1,040 hours of overtime a year, so we do have overtime hours to cover this, but we're basically, right now, as of the end of December, we're at $113,000 out of a $210,000 budget for snow removal. So we're at 53%, just that 1 month. We're at 45% of our overall budget though, so there's other areas in the budget to pull from to cover this. But it's alarming to see this much spent this early. So, So I put that out there. Other than that, like everybody else, we're working on finalizing our budget to be able to turn that into a show this week.
No more snow.
Hopefully moderate snow from here on out.
How you doing on salt and sand?
We're fine on salt and sand.
Yeah.
We're busy with snowmobiles, of course, everybody loves all that snow. And with hunting license and all that, we had a little glitch changing over from Deb's computer's locked up, so haven't been able to access it for like 2 weeks now, and Premier's working on it, but they put a BitLock or code on it and they can't find the code or something. So it's not been quite as easy a transition as I hoped for.
The others can't find that code. More secure than that.
Should write that down somewhere.
They should have. Yeah, we don't have access to it, but they have to do that.
They never did, I didn't know it was, I didn't know they even did that, so.
Yeah, no, it's on their end.
Well,
We have no access to that at all, so.
Becky?
December, we're usually pretty busy with truck renewals and business finishing out their year end, we did a lot of renewals there. Some taxes, of course, came in, get that in before the year end. Still training Barb on some different things, staying busy working on the budget.
That's good, that's it. Okay, thank you, everybody. I think
Great boss, there.
sure you take a couple of
Yeah, right? Chocolate, like.
You're leaving all good part
I
on.
know, right?
He had the other box on top, so the box is full of chocolate.
Actually, I think there was a.
Have a good day, everyone.
Kevin, Kevin, you got this.
No, I said it with my hands. I know, right?
What's that? Chocolate dangling on the side of the getting that. Oh, it's ruined now.
Yeah, put it in the middle.
I don't know. I'll check it out.
I know, right?
Oh, that's the one I was
There's one like it right
That
there.
dang jam.
Yeah, well, you run out of room.
So what happens if they can't get it on the computer?
I have no idea. I didn't know I didn't, that's their office, so I didn't know that they did that.
Is that?
Premier, they had an intern this summer, I guess, and he put a lock on it, and he didn't leave very good notes, so I don't know how they can get out of it.
That would know or not? No.
I don't think so.
Gonna have to hire a hacker.
Ed, you're good at that, aren't you?
Not that good.
Yep, I'll get Mark. They're ready for you.
How's everybody?
You don't want to spend any money.
that?
That's election period. I said we don't wanna spend any money.
You don't wanna spend any money?
No.
Okay.
We're gonna hand count them all.
I got a lot of answers to that, but I won't.
Evidently they want national media attention next year.
Yeah. I was at a hand count for,
Maybe we do.
a recount, and they came up with 3 different numbers and they were never the same, so, yeah. Okay, I won't take a lot of your time here, so I'm just here today to show you the Unison newest scanner we have on the market. Your FBTs, which you already currently have for your ADA part, and also anybody can use them, will be used going forward, will last the lifetime of what this machine would supposedly last. So you don't have to worry about buying those, you're just looking at the new scanners. Okay, your current scanners, they are at end of life for software upgrades. Okay, they cannot handle any more software upgrades. The motherboards are just not capable, so anything going forward for software upgrades would not be able to be done on the current equipment.
So it's just planned obsolescence.
Pretty much, electronically, yes. They will work, that's not a problem. It's just the EAC is demanding vendors to continually do software upgrades to meet what they want election equipment to do. So we have had probably 4 software upgrades in the last 3 years because of what they are demanding of us. Okay? So that's part of what you currently have. Okay? Questions at all? If not, I'll go forward with the equipment. So the new equipment, your current equipment comes in a bag. The new equipment is self-contained. The ballot box is actually collapsible. I do have a few brochures if you want to hand those around. It does show in there, on the right side, on the back, you see how to collapse the ballot box. I just bring it set up because it's easier to do it set up. So the new machines just slide in. They lock in the back. And you're ready to go. Okay? With the new ones, they also lock in the front, just like your FBTs do. So if you're going to put them in the polling place the night before, you can lock them so nobody can get at them. And then they're also sealable through here. So you kind of have 2 protections, a seal and a lock. Okay? When you open them, they now have security panels. We just lay the cord in. The cord, just like your current stuff, plugs into the back. These now have security sides, so they go down, so when people are voting, you can't view from the side. So if you have a poll worker that's standing around here to help the voter, they really can't be viewing the ballot as it's going in either. So it gives them much more sense of security when they're installing their ballot into the machine. Just turns on in the back just like your current equipment does. The screen is now larger. It raises up, tilts forward. The printer is just like your current one. You just open it up, drop the roll of paper in, close it, cuts it, and you're ready to go.
Can the paper be the same paper for the SET?
No. It's thermal, just like your current paper is, but it's not the same size paper as the FBT. So
the write-ins will come up a lot clearer.
the write-ins will be a lot clearer that you'll see after I run ballots. This one boots up in about 1/3 of the time of what your current equipment does, so it's much faster. It has a solid-state hard drive inside of it. It doesn't have a spinning hard drive anymore, which is very old technology. The solid-state hard drive retains all of your ballots. The TMs are still the same, so all of your current TMs will be able to be used in these. Your programming does not change, your software does not change, so the software that you currently have purchased is good going forward. It's the same software, your reports will all look the same, everything will be the same as far as that goes. So, this is more what you guys do when you're testing. So a couple other features on this that are different than what you currently have. This feeds directly to the bottom. It does not feed out the back and have to make the curve in the ballot box, so that creates less jamming because it's just going into the scanner and it's going straight down into the ballot box. It's not making a turn. So when you have your longer ballots that kind of have a tendency to hang up making that turn in the back, this is different for that purpose. So this creates your zeros report just like your current stuff does. So when they turn it on in the morning, in about a minute, it's going to boot up and give them their zeros report. Okay, where before it was probably about 3 minutes, this is much faster that way. Once you're ready to go, it's just going to show them their zeros or their zero count, and they're going to feed ballots. You can see that this feeds much faster than your old equipment. Once again, same way. Doesn't matter if it's right side up or upside down. It will take the ballot all 4 orientations. If you have an overvote, it will continue to do the little sheet that tells you that the voter overvoted, so you don't have to have them come over and actually look at their ballot. You're just going to look at this and it's going to say they overvoted, so then you can tell them to remark their ballot to change, or they can vote it if they want to. Okay, so it's the same way. If they want to vote the ballot, they're just going to install it. It's going to kick it back. They're going to mark it, they say accept ballot, and they're going to install it. Okay, so that's still all the same. And I have another one.
Is there emergency bend in this?
Yes, yes, I'll show you that when we. So, one other quick thing is, if you ever have somebody that marks this and they use their own pen, have you ever had to clean a scanner? Okay. On this, to clean this, on your other one, you had to open the machine all the way up. On this one, there's a key on the side, and all you have to do is unlock the scanner, and it lifts up, and you can clean both scanners. So if somebody uses a gel pen, gel doesn't dry right away, so if they mark a ballot with a gel pen and they take it over and run it through here, sometimes that gel will leave a streak on your scanner. Then you'll start getting a bunch of overvotes. So then you know there's something on the scanner, so you can just go out with a microfiber cloth and alcohol, clean the scanner off, and you're good to go. So it's very easy to get at. You don't have to take this. You don't have to take the machine apart, open it up. It's just here and here. Okay? I told this forward there. So it's here and here. Yep, the glass parts. Yep. So you just clean those and you're good to go. We have literally seen them with alcohol on them, and oatmeal and all kinds of other stuff. So, yeah. Somebody let their kid feed their ballot through for him. He had oatmeal on his hands, and yeah, that was on the scanner. So we've seen all that kind of stuff.
So they always come through as overvotes then?
Once you get the mark on them, they will generally come through as an overvote, because that little black mark is where, so every oval that's in line with that black mark it's reading that black mark instead of the oval. So then it comes through as an overvote on every ballot. So if you get a precinct that calls in and says, hey, we're just getting nothing but overvotes, that's the issue. Okay, so that's generally it, feeding ballots. Any questions so far? Okay. If not, it's the end of the night and you're done. You're going to use your close card like you currently do. Install it. It's going to kick it back. It's going to give you your 2 choices like you currently have. Do you want to close voting? Are you sure you want to close voting? And you say yes. Okay?
Our poll workers really won't see a lot of difference because it's the same.
Right. That's
Kind of
makes it
what they're
easy for
doing
them.
now.
Yes. We had 13 counties use it for the general, and we had good poll workers were all very thrilled with it, so. Print your summary report just like you currently do. It will highlight your winners in bold if you want that chosen in your programming. So that kind of helps if you're looking for just winners. You can print copies of that, however many you want. If you have media in the polling place and you want to give them a report while they're sitting there, you can print for however many you want to print for. Once you're done, you say continue, and then it says, do you want the writing report, and you say yes.
That is a lot clearer than what you're going to tell.
A lot easier to read. This uses a wider paper than what your current equipment does, so it therefore makes the write-ins that the poll work have to look at the end of the night. It makes them a lot easier for them to read what's going on. Questions at all?
Is it true, like, if when we do the public test and stuff, we have to have, like, the machine won't work unless it's on the box?
Yeah, if you purchase, we will give you probably two. It'll be tops and it has legs, so you can set it on the table, and then it has a little piece underneath it that shoots so that you can actually do it on a tabletop, but you can't just set it on a table like you do now, that's fed out the back because the valve goes down. So they've come up with, it's just the top, and it sits on the table, and then it's got a corrugated piece that goes under it so the ballots shoot back out to you.
Okay.
So, we've generally been giving the counties that have purchased, I think, two of those. Yeah.
Oh, it'll read check marks?
It will read check marks, as long as you use a 1 mil Bic roller ball pen, and you get it through somewhere between left to right of the oval, you get a 1 millimeter mark through that middle, it will read it. If you mark on the bottom or you mark on the top, and you're talking iffy, because our machine reads from left to right through the middle of the oval. It's looking for a 1 millimeter dark line from left to right through the middle. Everybody that builds equipment has to tell the EAC how their equipment reads. Some read from left to right through the middle, some read from left to right from top to bottom or bottom to top. Okay? So when you're doing that, if they're doing X and checks, it's kind of, it's going to depend on what they're
Not
doing.
guaranteed.
Yeah. Yep.
And then our absentee machine that we have, that will work with us too? So
Yep,
we're
absentee
good there.
doesn't change a bit. Doesn't change a bit.
What does, Dickinson, Palo Alto, and Cassuth they're not involved in this, what do they use? Different
Dickinson
brands?
uses Dominion, and Cassuth and Palo Alto use ES&S. We have, I think, 73-ish of the 99 counties. I haven't counted lately. And I think Dominion, two Dominion counties that have gone with us. They've changed from Dominion to us, and I think Dominion's down to 6, and ES&S has like 20.
Another question is,
Yeah.
Customer discount includes trade in and recycle. What does that mean?
We have to electronically recycle the machines. We have to take it to an electronic depot that recycles it. It can't just be thrown in the trash with motherboards and hard drives and stuff in it.
So you guys get paid for them, that's why we get the discount?
No, we don't get paid anything for them.
We want more discount.
That's the discount.
What's the average error rate?
The average error rate, I cannot answer that.
'Cause we've had some unwanted attention from your equipment the last couple of years for errors, so I was just kind of curious.
Errors as far as what?
Miscounts or not coming up with the right tally.
Because you did a recount and it showed that, or how do you know that?
That last election that we had, the primary.
Yeah, we had a software problem.
Yeah, yeah.
And we fixed that. Yes. Yes.
what's our guarantee that's not gonna happen again? Since that was a you problem and not a we problem.
I probably can't guarantee that, and I don't think there's a vendor out there that could, but, I mean, you're welcome to ask anybody else if they'll guarantee that, but, software, as you do upgrades, that's what we ran into. The EAC made us do an upgrade. Well, we found out that we tested, but there was one thing that made it hang, and that didn't come up in testing, and so that was found out. We immediately fixed it. We ran it through. The EAC has played games with that stuff. I shouldn't say played games, but they won't allow us to do upgrades, but yet they want everything to work. So we had to go to them and say, we know what the fix is for this, but they said, well, we don't have time to approve that. And we said, no, you have to, and they did. So, every vendor out there has had an issue with something here or there. Laptops, everything, there's software bugs that show up, and we fix them when we find them.
What's EAC stand for?
Election Assistance Committee, it's federal. That's who certifies all of the equipment. So all of this equipment goes through federal certification, and that's what we said when we sent our software to the lab. How was this not found when you did our testing? Because we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that, and their answer was crickets. Anything else?
Where do we?
So after you're closed, shuts down just like you normally do. Wait 20 seconds, turns off. Poll workers then go to the back. This is also much better for them. They have the gold key, they unlock the door, and the whole door swings open. So it's much easier for them to get at the ballots instead of that little middle door that we have that they didn't know how to get it out, they didn't know which key to use, the whole door swings open. They still have to get down on their hands and knees to get the ballots out, and they're still willy-nilly all over the place, and that is by design, because we don't want them stacked one on top of the other, because if Joe voted first, you know how Joe voted, if Mary voted second, you know how Mary voted, if Bill voted third, you know how Bill voted. So that's why they fall all over the place inside the ballot box.
And then that slot there is what they're.
Then, if they have emergency ballots because they had an issue, or, these also now have battery backup. So if power goes down, these will stay on for up to, I think, they were tested for up to 6 hours with constant ballot running.
How long are the batteries good for?
As far as last,
Yeah.
those are covered in your maintenance agreement. So, yeah, I think, currently we replace motherboard batteries every 3 to 4 years. I don't know yet on these what they will be replaced, but that's covered in your maintenance agreement, so those will replace whatever the recommended manufacturer recommendation is. If they go down, I mean, if the battery fails, we'll come in and put new batteries in. Same thing, we currently offer 3 years, no interest on this. So for the purchase, the bottom line, you can divide that by 3 and pay 3 equal installments of that with no interest. I think the maintenance fees and I don't think those changed much, if they changed at all. If you look back on what you probably paid for your scanners 8, 9 years ago, I don't think the price has changed at all.
No, I don't think it's changed, I think it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
I mean, because the backside, I pay that yearly anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so that part won't
Yep,
change.
the licensing fees, that goes right to Unison and Linux and all the people that get their piece of the puzzle for the software, and then the maintenance, we take care of you. We continue to give you loaners as you need them. We don't charge for that. We don't charge for delivery of them. If you have a machine when you're testing that's giving you a problem or goes down, as you know with what you had before the general, we'll bring machines in at no charge.
talked to Dave, but he says since it's interest free, I don't have to do a resolution at the end of the year. If we would pay interest on it, then.
We did it that way last time.
Yeah.
Always have, if it's
Yeah.
something you're paid.
Yeah, the only thing that I haven't really ever heard about the financing part is that some of the counties, when their auditors are auditing them, when they're getting audited, they really question it because there's just certain reasons. I have no idea why they question it, so then some of those counties have just said, you know what, we're just gonna pay it off, so we don't have to deal with that, but we've had a lot of counties that go to 3 years.
You know, for just different fiscal years, you have to have an action showing it as a whole.
Yes. Yeah, that's what, I think they said, you know, you own equipment, so we don't get this, how you're paying for this when you own it over 3 years, blah, 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 so. Questions at all?
You budgeted for it, or where are we sitting on?
Oh, I budgeted for the software stuff. I haven't put anything in the budget yet for the, because I didn't know what the board was going to do.
The life expectancy of these.
Life expectancy, well, I mean, as you know, with laptops for any of that stuff, it's, you know, we used to say we would guarantee parts for 10 years. Some of that stuff has changed. Now we're probably saying the 6 to 8 year range.
It's not a great report.
I'm not saying we won't continue to service it. We'll continue to service your stuff that you currently have. But with electronics, you don't know where it's going. We can't control the change of electronics. I think that's in every market with anything that has electronics in it. That stuff gets, as soon as you buy a laptop, it's outdated.
But
I'm not misspeaking there. As soon as you buy a laptop, there's new technology already coming down the pike.
if
But you should have to support that for however long you have the equipment.
We do. We will. Until we can't get parts anymore, we will. But it's the headaches that you put up with that. I understand what you're saying. We'll take care of you. We're not here, I'm not here saying if you don't buy this, we're done. No, I'm not saying that at all. Is it gonna make your auditor's life and her staff somewhat easier? Yes.
I mean, Atkins, my correct girls, they've been very easy to work with. They've been very helpful. We've been very pleased with the service.
We're having problems with the machines that we have. We had to have owners last time, so there's that.
I think the frustrating part is we test them how many times, and then we get to election day, and then we have issues. That's the frustrating part of all of this. We test it 2 or 3 times, and then we have our public count, and they work great, and then we get some polls, and we're like, what happened? You know, they work. That's frustrating.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that, like, all the software and how poll workers do it is all the same, but everything's just a lot faster. Even those printouts with, like, the overlays and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's much faster.
Yeah,
That's
like,
faster.
like the voter will even know that their ballot didn't get accepted, you know?
Right.
Because the other ones are so slow that sometimes they start walking away.
Exactly. That's what this
Something
is
will
so
kick out
good.
and they're trying to catch
Yes.
people.
And you still have the red and green light over here that you didn't really see, but yeah, it shows you, and I mean, it goes from green back to green like that.
I think having a hard case is going to be more helpful.
We could even, like, if
Definitely.
we could lock it in there, we could even do that in your setup, that would be
Yes.
less painful
Yes.
of it.
Yes.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah. And then your FET ballots now, since I'm not doing the FET, everything's right side justified, so they don't have to know where the middle is anymore. So if they are sight impaired or blind, it's just getting them and getting it to the right side to touch the edge and feeding it, okay?
So if we did decide to go to another company, then I need all new equipment, right?
You need all new equipment, all new software,
And it's gonna cost the county way more money.
I would imagine.
Just saying.
And training.
Because the FBPs that we currently got, we can't use if we go to another company.
No.
I'm guessing our poll workers wouldn't be happy to see a major switch in.
Your, I don't put competitors down. If you get a quote from ES&S, I don't see price being even close. But you guys have to do your due diligence, I understand all of that, so,
I mean, I get it, it's like, the software did something magical and made things so much better, but you're still essentially scanning a Scantron sheet with some black dots on it. I mean, there's not much technology involved in it.
there is, I mean,
when you buy, there's a lot of really cool upgrades for electronics, for laptops, cell phones, cars and everything. But this is still just counting black dots on a sheet of paper.
we have
It's not
passed
like you're
certifications,
reinventing the
let me
wheel.
tell you, certification's expensive and it's a big time deal. I mean, the EAC is, if you've read about it, I mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen how dependable they are with checking everybody's software, so I don't really have a lot of faith in that either, but it should be pretty simple software for what you're doing with it.
That's above my, I mean, I'm not a software guru by
If it
any
was so
stretch of
easy,
the
we'd have 18 to choose from rather than the 3.
Consolidation, there used to be more, just like everything else.
More vendors.
Yeah.
It's been ES&S, Diebold, which basically the business put them out of the election business because they were, your bank stuff, your ATMs and all that's Diebold. They got out of it because it was breaking them because of what they all had to spend for software and to do the machine. So Diebold got out. So ES&S, Unison, Hart, and Dominion are the main 4 players. Prior to that, it was Diebold, ES&S, Global was Diebold, which went, so I think before that there was 2, maybe 3. In the electronic part of it, once it went away from the mechanical stuff, there was only 2 vendors basically, ES&S and Global, which turned into Diebold, that I can remember. And I've been in the business for 20 plus years, so.
Who provides all your chips for your motherboards?
Overseas. There isn't a chip made, a motherboard made in the United States.
Is all this equipment assembled here?
It's all assembled in San Diego, California.
But all the internal guts come from overseas? China?
Taiwan mainly, yep. And there isn't a vendor out there that's making their own chips or buying their chips from the United States. We had somebody that we had a state that was gonna require that their TMs, which is what your votes are all registered on, were manufactured in the United States. We currently get $95 for those. I think the best vendor they could find, their cost was gonna be $1,500 to build those.
So the board does decide when would we get delivery date.
Whatever you want. We come in, take out all your old OVOs, take out your ballot boxes, bring in the new ballot boxes, we haul everything away.
And this is all stuff you currently have in inventory, or?
Yes. Yeah, we had 13 counties that used it for the general last year. We went through a bit of a supply chain issue, just like everybody else did as far as getting parts, but we did manage to get those 13 their equipment. We have to do some forecasts for this year, so we currently have enough inventory at our office in Clinton, Missouri to take care of what I'm selling in Iowa, and Missouri and Kansas. So.
Any chance this bid would be good July 1 for the new fiscal year?
Yeah, I'll guarantee it till then.
If you want to suffer through another primary with it.
I don't have a primary this year. So it
All
would
the
be
other-
nice to have it for the city and school, and then the primary in 24.
Yeah, the current ones that are purchasing, that's what they're looking at. They want it for the city schools, so it gives their poll workers an easier election to say, than a primary or a general to start with. So as far as training your poll workers for you guys, there's really no change. It's just gonna be, you know, if you're gonna set them up, they're already gonna be on the ballot box, which was the majority of my counties in Iowa pretty much do. Set them up in the polling place, you can lock it exactly. These also have, these also have multi-directional wheels on the front, so turning them, setting where they are, and then they have locks in the back. So if you lock it down, it's staying where it's at. Any other questions?
How hard can you drop them?
And I've dropped them out of the back of my Tahoe, and they work. Yeah. But I've also dropped them and cracked a scanner or busted them, or have customers that have dropped them and cracked things, and yeah. But it's all stuff that we can replace. Yeah. So if you do purchase, also, you have a 1-year guarantee on these for maintenance. So you would not have to pay your maintenance fee for the OBOs for this current year. You would for the FETs, but not for the OBOs. So you would save that, whatever that is. Probably roughly the $1,800, so I was gonna say, I don't know if you're in the 16, 17, I don't know if you're even at that 1,800, but that's, I don't know how many you currently have. But anyway, if you look at your invoice and you got, and even if you paid that, we'll credit that back. Yeah. Anything else, gentlemen, ladies? If not, I'll get out of your hair. I appreciate your time. I'm always available if you have questions. If these guys have questions from you going forward that you can't answer, that you need me, just get in touch. And we'll get you going. All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
FETs, I don't know, probably 2-3 years, the FETs. The FETs, probably 2 or 3 years.
That we've had. We've had them ever since I've been here.
3 years?
Probably have to look, but
Then the others not.
those don't get used very much, unfortunately. We need to educate our poll workers to use those more. Fine. Okay.
Yes, yes. Ready to go, man.
Good morning, I'm Janet Stopper representing, McCollum Museum. We're part of the museum group. We have support with Larry and Nadine Titley, and for Ashton, Bill Honkamp, and Larry Verdor, and Umberto Team Lois Markham. So we're asking for yearly requests from the county supervisors. And this time we are making a request for $4,000 for our projects. That's up $1,000 from the previous year's project. And McCollum Museum is asking for funding this year for the I think it's 23-24 year. We need to do some conservation work on our two-headed calf. The two-headed calf is just our pride and joy. It is something that has drawn families into the museum. The third graders who come around, and I'm going to pass a picture around, a close-up of the calf to show you what I am specifically referring to as far as conservation of the two-headed calf. The calf was born on the Emo, and I'm going to pass this around too, on the Emo Braun Farm north of Sibley. And what I'm showing here is the farm, not necessarily the cow that was the calf. It's just a farm One is the nose area of both of the heads of the calf, and the other, you see the white hair of the calf, but if you look closer, you can see the center back of the calf, that the leather or the calf is split. And, you know, if you're that old, you probably have a few things wrong with you too. So, you know, we really do want to preserve our history here. It's such a history of the McCollum Museum, the two-headed calf. So I'm going to pass that around. So what I have done, I've contacted taxidermist in Spirit Lake called Matuska, so I'm waiting for an estimate of it. And of course, I'm also open to any local taxidermist. But one of the reasons I selected Matuska is because the calf may have to leave the museum. And in the museum world, when something as important as an object leaves the museum, we want to be, what do you say, comforted in the fact that it's going to have high security. You know, you never want something like that to just disappear from somebody who maybe doesn't know how to keep track of it or whatever. So, you know, so we're arranging for that to be happening to our two-headed calf. I've noticed that for at least the last 5 years, and it seems like the snout is getting worse every time I look at it. So we're really wanting to maintain one of our premier donations to the museum from the Eagle Braun family. Actually, his grandson, Keith Braun, lives in Brandon and has visited the museum and has always been intent on coming back to see the two-headed calf. So this is what our request is for our year, is for funding for the restoration of the two-headed calf.
Any idea on what did you say?
They haven't gotten back to me yet, you know. And so we're also, I'm thinking of also working perhaps, and the funding is more than what I think it should be. I'm wanting to do something with a 4-H club, to do some fundraising with the 4-H club and bring more youth involved into this effort too. I think it'd be a fun effort to get the community involved and also to get the 4-H clubs involved in this. You know, it would just give them a reason to not only come to the museum, but the importance of historical preservation.
Where in town, the two-headed calf is the premier object of the museum, and that's what most people go in there and see. The kids especially are just excited about it. Where is it?
They have third-grade tours in the museum in the spring. And so this is what the kids always remember about the museum, is that two-headed calf. And we do have the class, I think the 60th year class reunion of class of 63, am I right in my math? So we have some class reunions already planning to visit the museum in 2023. Not that the calf will be, you know, fixed or anything like that. I expect it to be a long process, because you're dealing with trying to restore a cracked leather. Any other questions?
Like mention summer programs?
We are working on our summer programs too. Our summer programs will have sort of a kind of like finding your roots thing. We're going to avail ourselves of Mark Frank, who just does wonders with locating graves. And Paul Sutterquist had this wonderful book out about sibling now and then. And since then, we've had so many people contact us and so many people offer us some new pictures and new information about some of siblings' early businesses. So he's going to be one of our programs. And then we had a lady stop in the park, stop in the museum talking about Sibley Central Park. And she just told me so many memories that she had, and we thought, wouldn't that be a wonderful program, to do a program maybe in August of how did the park get started? Who were some of the caretakers of the park? Who took care of it? And did you know that the skating rink at the park went all the way up to the museum? Now, we don't have one. But sees all the different changes in the park, and yet the park is so relevant to us today. Many families still use the park, so this is our programming effort. Thank you.
I do know that because of the age of that mount and the chemicals and processes that they used to mount those back in the day, because of the toxicity of the materials, either it's gonna be really super expensive to get that thing repaired, or they won't do it.
Now, I'm waiting to hear back from them, and I think I'm just gonna have to call them and send them an email and pictures of the cap. And I don't know, I know it could be at least maybe minimum of $4,000 to $5,000. And it may have to leave the museum for a certain time. And I've been looking, just listening to people who have used Matuska and have been on their website, and they have quite an operation going. But I have to feel very trustworthy of the people who have the cap, because I'm one of these people that says nothing leaves the museum, but it's not realistic to have people come and try to curate the cap and take care of the cap there. So that's why I'm leaning toward also involving our community in the two-headed cap restoration. It'll take time. It's not something that's going to happen even a year, we're lucky. But it's something that really needs to be done, because I'm seeing the signs of wear and tear, even though it's in a case. But previously, about 5 years ago, it was not in a case, and children, unsupervised children, come up and would touch it. And, the oils on your fingers would really create a disintegration of it. So we're really trying to keep this one treasure alive, and or at least in good condition for the public. Thank you.
Email it.
Want to go?
Okay.
Do you let them know? Come request stuff, or?
I didn't either. Our meeting.
Morning, my name is Bill Unkamp, and Larry Verdorn is here with me. We're employees of the Ashton Museum. Anyhow, we volunteer there, and first of all, we want to thank you for all the help that you guys have given us in the years past. And some of the things that we did do last year with your money is, well, we put new leak spouting on so we could control the flow of the water, which was a problem. And the city helped us a little on that, putting us a drain in the middle of our lot behind the museum to control the water. And then we, in turn, situated our downspouting and stuff so that it would flow to that. We didn't have a lot of rain last year, so, and again, the electric part of that, we ran electricity from the main museum to what we call our summer kitchen, and then on to the garage, the double garage there that we raised up and put concrete under. So our back garage of our museum is so full that we raised that garage and are hoping to get our display set up in there. And also, like we got from Mrs. Blau out here where the new gas station went, we got a building from her. It was smaller, but it called it our tool shed, and all of the tools that they used years ago, forks and things that they use in the fields and stuff, go in there. We're trying to get things moved out of that main or the back end garage of the museum, because it's only a walk-through single person space. I mean, so that's why we went with these other buildings. But this year we're hoping to get enough money to, the one building is being kind of made shift over because it's not actually a summer kitchen, because it don't have any windows. And this is what we're working on, because they did all their cooking and stuff in these buildings, and they did it out in the summer kitchen so that they kept the heat out of their main home, so that, you know, where they slept and stuff. So we're working on that. We're working on some of the grounds yet, and as far as memberships, how many members do we? We had a membership drive
Yeah.
to.
63, I think, and we raised over $3,000. Yeah.
To raise money to help support the museum. When we originally started there, the Boers donated that building to the city. But the city wanted assurance that we wouldn't leave them set with it. So we have raised money enough to make sure that the heat and the electricity was taken care of. So now we have that money set aside, but it's basically there so the city can see we're not gonna dump it on them. So, but it is insured by the city and everything like that, but see, some of our money goes for the electric and the heat. So, along with the other stuff that we've done, the painting.
Windmill.
Oh, and, yes, we have a new project. It's a windmill. It's the older style, before the 1930s. And I have it on a trailer right now, trying to get some parts and stuff for this windmill. They got the newer ones, parts, but they don't have, some of the older ones. But I did find a place, one down to my daughter, down by Holstein, Iowa. The guy has got some parts, and, but when you buy them from a windmill outfit like out of South Dakota or Texas, and they're still making them, their parts are quite expensive for what we want to do. We just want to get it all back into shape, the gear's working, and not that it'll run that much. It's more, you know, and it'll run. I mean, the gears and everything will work, so. But anyhow, that's another one of our projects. And along with trying to get more lawns started, and so. I run out of things to say. So I'm gonna cut it off. Thank you in advance for your help, and thank you again.
Hi, I'm BOS from Ocheyedan, and I'm kind of by myself today. We have men's coffee over in Ocheyedan, and that takes a few of our people over there, so we've got a few other things going that they're working on over there. Our men's coffee has been kind of a good thing. We usually have between 15 and 20 guys show up. Seems like they are genuinely happy that we're there for them, because they've kind of been pushed out of every place else. The elevator kind of pushed them out, and every place else kind of pushed them out. So they needed a spot to go, so we're happy to oblige and be there for them. I want to thank you again for all your donations and money that you've given us in the past years. I'm glad that you have the same vision as us, that we need to keep the importance of retaining our history. Some of the stuff we've done this year with the money that you had last year, we did some cement projects. We poured some cement for our machinery displays. We want to have those such a way that people that are in wheelchairs or walkers or whatever are able to get back and look at them. You know, before they were just kind of sitting back in the trees, and people had a hard time getting back there to look at them. Bobby Baker has done a good job of refurbishing some of our equipment and getting it so that it's movable, the parts are movable. And we've got them setting so that these people can get back there and see those. Also, we were donated a old horse barn, and we got that moved and sitting on one of our cement pads. We want to get it completely done. We got to put a new roof on it, put some era-correct doors, barn doors on it, and windows and stuff, and do some landscaping around it. We want to get it to the point so that we can get some of our stuff back. We have a Surrey that's in the Sibley Museum, and we're gonna have to work really hard at getting that away from them, because it really came from an Ochean person, and we would like to, and that's what those horse barns had. It was you had your, spot for your horses and your Surrey, and then this has an upstairs in it, has a stairway, and has a place for you to, the hooks and stuff are up there yet, where they would hang their collars, and all that stuff is up there. So we would like to get it back the way it was, and if we could get the Surrey back, I'm sure they need that room for something else. That's one of the good things about working together, there's always, if you've got something from Sibley, you give it to Sibley. If you've got something from Ochean, you give it, we work really hard at doing that. Some of the other stuff we had the fourth graders were able to come back after a three-year break because of COVID and stuff. We had the fourth graders back, and it seemed like they really enjoyed themselves. We have a lot of hands-on stuff that they like to work with, and we did that. And then we had some ladies that we have a lot of vet stuff, and we really pushed the importance of the vet stuff, the uniforms and stuff like that. And then we had a few of the ladies did a program called the Ragged Flag that they do, and the kids really enjoyed that. And then after they had a snack break, they went out to the Ochean Mound and got a little more history of the scenic high point of Iowa. So it was a good class trip that we do. It's important that these younger kids know that there are interesting things going on in our county. They didn't have to go very far with the school buses; they were able to stay. Other than that, we need to buy archival supplies. It seems like every day we're getting stuff donated to the museum. Got a lot of old uniforms, old wedding dresses. In June, we did a wedding display, kind of a wedding program, and had a lot of, we've got wedding dresses that go back into the mid-1800s. And so we did have a few of the 1930s that we had girls did some modeling of and stuff like that. But it was very well attended, and I think people were interested in that. We have the problem of our prices raising, just general maintenance stuff, that the prices are going up on everything. It seems like, as with everything, so thus we have to ask for a little more money for projects like that. We try really hard with the funding that we get, any funding that we get. We try very hard to keep it local. We use the local lumber yard, local contractors, carpenters, electricians if we can. So we want, like I said, we want to thank you for everything that you've given us before. One thing, and I'm not sure if you guys can answer this, we've asked the fire department, and they're checking into it, as far as getting an AED. I know that would be through our ambulance, but since our ambulance program, I'm not sure where that's at. Who would we get that from? Do you know? Sandy? All right, I will see if I can get hold of her and see if she can get us one, because I think that's something that, after we see how things work with the young man on the football field, it wouldn't be a bad idea with those, we've got somebody in there all the time that would.
Okay, the picture number is 4130, 754, 4130, you said 7754. All right. Yeah, I will see if I can get hold of that. Other than that, like I said, I want to thank you for your previous support, and we look forward to whatever you can give us. Any questions? All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, guys.
They call me in.
Excuse me, Paris, how old?
No, but they call me.
I know, but those guys, you gotta give them a heads up over there.
I thought Dave was.
That's what I thought last time too. They're asking for 4 grades. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the other 2 were asking for. Probably do whatever they gave them last.
We give everybody 3. they're like, you know, I really think we're mountain.
I got a bunch of stuff from my mom's house, and I'm not sure what to do with it. Oh, okay. Yeah. And it's folders, you probably didn't know. Remember those folders?
Oh, yeah, it's like really shitty.
Oh, yeah, we kind of made it. I got her
Nice.
the papers from when the man walked up the road and when John Deere came to our size and everything. She kept it.
My grandpa's side was in Germany.
Yep.
When I came over. My grandpa's parents died young on their adoption paper. Can't throw that stuff away. No.
If I didn't keep it, it would be gone.
Well, yeah, my kids ain't. I
Well,
inherited.
even my brothers and nephews,
Chad had all that stuff in his house, and I inherited.
Yeah, kids these days, they don't care about any of that. Oh,
And all, my kids aren't gonna.
no, mine don't want it. It's like, well.
I got Kurt's mom, and the dad, and the guy.
That was my grandparents. No, my grandparents.
Yeah, that electronically they might keep it. Give them a flash drive.
No.
They can't do that with everything either.
Right.
After 9:45, county attorney, what you review?
It's in your binders with budget. In front of you. I'm trying to keep an order for you guys, so we look at that.
So I guess I could just kind of go through it. Overall, budget has gone down a little bit. I think that largely reflects that we won't be budgeting that line item for Carvel this year as we have purchased it. Overall, as usual, salaries account for a large portion of the budget, by salary being what it is after having been set by the compensation board and this board. The compensation number for my legal assistant, Elizabeth, has gone down because for some time after we had hired Jason and Elizabeth, the overall budget line remained the same for what was budgeted for the legal assistant salary. That had been basically set at what Mitzi had been earning, and it was set that way for some flexibility. This year, I just penciled in a 6% increase in overall compensation or in pay and salary for Elizabeth, and adjusted that number to reflect that. So that reflects a 6% pay increase, which I understand is in line with what other folks are getting, and just left it that way. And I think that's certainly fair, and Elizabeth's been doing quite well. Again, I've been really blessed to have her this past, now going on 8 months, I believe. She's been doing quite well, and I think she's deserving of the increase that is my understanding other folks are getting. Regarding the FICA and IFRS contributions, the smaller and not proportionate increase tracks with the decrease in the overall budget number for that position. The obviously lesser insurance contribution reflects my understanding that our insurance could be down.
You're not paying for family.
That's it, okay. There we go, that explains the difference there.
Otherwise, office supplies I left the same, postage and mailing, I asked for another $75 because, we've just had to serve a lot of folks out of state, send a lot of things out of state, and found ourselves having to, just mail more stuff and things cost more. Left the mileage and subsistence the same, telephone and cell service the same, educational and training the same, outside legal services the same, that's the $200 that's there, that would cover an hour or two if I needed to talk to somebody. I did request less for depositions and transcripts this year. If I need to cover that via budget amendment, if we do end up having some intensive trials or juvenile court proceedings, then that is what it is, and we can work with that in the future. Office and data processing left the same. Incentive fund miscellaneous as well as criminal prosecution miscellaneous, I left that number the same. I think it's important to have that money there. Prosecution costs and allows kind of some flexibility without having to adjust the budget in the future. Big difference item obviously being software going down from 21,000 to 1,000. I left 1,000 in there just because I know I'm going to need to purchase some video editing software in the coming months or in the next fiscal year, and I've been quoted some prices that were a little higher than I expected, so I would like to have some flexibility there. I moved the criminal prosecution dues and memberships up to 2,000 just because I know that the Iowa County Attorney Association membership, or however we get the discounted rate for conferences, did go up a little bit. Depositions and witness transfer, under juries and witnesses, depositions and transcripts I left the same. And then basically we're just on to the last page, which has some recovery fees, and we budget or expect the county to recover, as well as county attorney incentive fund money, which we put an expected value of another 50% or another $500. So my budget's lower than it was last year. The things that I've adjusted up are largely there, adjusted up to account for inflation or what I anticipate services will cost in the coming year.
What's the balance of the county attorney incentive fund?
I don't know that for sure.
I haven't checked on that for a couple months. I think it's in somewhere in the 2,000, 3,000 range.
I can go check for you.
Yeah, if I had to pick donuts or magistrate court, I think I know which one I'd pick.
As of today, you have $12,361 in that account.
Okay, then. Was there a carryover then in salary from last year? Where did that end up?
For my legal assistant? Yeah, so I mean, basically, I think if I recollect and kind of looking back on it, I believe that when Mitzi left that number, that 49,000 number was approximately what she was earning, that was what she had gotten that year. And when I hired Jace, I you know, it was right around budget time, actually, when Jace was hired, and that would have been 2021 that she got hired. And the budget already would have been set that spring, but then when we were talking about next year's budget. And I believe I asked you guys just to leave it the way it was, so I'd have some flexibility in terms of salary. I offered Jace, and she accepted a lower number. We then went through the next year, that salary was left, I believe, the same, or there was an increase that was budgeted in, but she didn't get that full number. And it was left that same way, I believe, just for some flexibility. But in all those years, since Mitzi has left, the legal assistant has been paid less than that budgeted number. There was just left that way for some flexibility, and I thought that going forward, given what I hired Elizabeth at, and just for the sake of kind of stability budget numbers, that I would reduce it to the actual number that my legal assistant is getting.
So did that excess just carry over then, or did it get used?
It's sitting in the general fund, and I think if you look at the used year-to-date numbers, if you pull those budgets from years past, that money would not have gotten drawn from general fund, and I'm no budget wizard, but that's my understanding, that if it wasn't paid out, it was never drawn from general fund. So, what's that?
It goes back in the reserves.
Okay. So then if we correct it and she receives that 6% raise like the others are getting, or as my understanding are, then we are kind of just gonna have a situation where the full budgeted amount gets paid out from her salary, and there's not a carryover, and there's a tighter kind of accounting of that whole thing.
How much has been used out of prosecution costs? That seems like a pretty high number for not much money getting used out of
Well,
it.
this year we haven't, we haven't used any this fiscal year. Last fiscal year, we used $625. 2021, we used $2,866, and 1920, we used $6,395.
So why do you need $15,000?
The miscellaneous,
Prosecution costs, so you have 14,000, I, he has 14,000 budgeted.
Yeah.
prosecution costs.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that number is there for, you know, bigger cases, is for things that, if I need to pay for deputy time for something, if I need to pay for prosecution costs of something, if we have a bigger case I have the Attorney General's helping out on, they don't charge us for their time, but when we have services and experts, things like that, that's money that I need to have, because I don't wanna come back for a budget amendment in the middle of a case. I don't want to, you know, have to impact the schedule of the board or my schedule if we need something for flexibility. Even though, you know, that number has been the same, I believe, for quite some time, or at least a couple of years, it's been approximately that high. That number is there to provide flexibility in my budget, and I've left it the same despite inflation over the past couple of years.
It was 12,000 before, it
Yeah.
was 14,000 last year. And just looking at what's been used out of that, I don't know that you'd ever even get close to the number that you got budgeted for it.
We had a case that required experts or anything like that, I would use it up in a hurry, and I would probably need to use it before I would have a whole lot of time to come back to this board. And certainly there are cases that could happen where I would need more than that, but that's in there as a flexibility measure to avoid impacting schedules or anything that's a super important case that I just wanna have that money on hand. If I don't use it, it can roll back into the fund. Again, I've left it the same the past 2 years, it hasn't gone up all that much. It's really just there to assure that I have flexibility to handle things that can get expensive, if I need any kind of additional services. And if I exceeded that number, whether it be for things that cost money for direct cost of prosecution of cases directly, or if I needed software or hardware or something like that in the middle of the year that relates to the prosecution of cases, it's there to use. It provides some measure of flexibility without greatly increasing my budget.
Software is a different line item, I don't know that would go with that.
Yeah, and in the past, you know, seeing as how the software that I purchased or things that I purchased for computers or technology, it does relate to the prosecution of cases. I have used the miscellaneous fund money for, you know, various things as long as they relate to the prosecution of cases, and that's part of why it's important to have it.
Do you have ideas or something targeted for the incentive fund? My line of thinking is that that's your discretion, I understand that, and targeted on how it can be used, if I remember correctly, that to budget 14,000, to collect 14,000 when we're not using it regularly. I completely understand what your statement is, that the budget amendment in a timely manner, a quick manner, and some hits can be problematic or a hassle. If we have that balancing incentive fund, that could act as that same cushion and allow time frame to do a budget amendment and then readdress it
Yeah,
in the future, I guess is my thought, that
part of what I had thought maybe the incentive fund might go to would be some things involving the new drug court that's being opened that would be, something that would be happening in this district in the coming year. Now, I don't know what those costs will be, but I thought that would be a good use of the county attorney incentive fund. I know that, you know, to put it diplomatically, there have been some times when I think that there could be some good training opportunities that might come up for our sheriff's office that I would like to be able to provide for our deputies beyond what can be provided here. And I'd be open to using the incentive fund money for that, so that's something I'd like to keep it for. In terms of pure technology right now, I mean, I need a new computer monitor, I'm waiting on that. I don't really have a whole lot of other things besides that, and some video editing software I think I'll buy in the next year. But, you know, the chance to have that incentive fund money around for potential drug court expenditures and or to finance training for our deputies that goes above and beyond what I can provide sitting at a table telling them what I think. I think that there's probably some training opportunities that they could get either through paid online classes or through going places that I think would be valuable for them. And that's kind of what I had sort of tentatively targeted, potentially the use of that money this coming year. And again, that is discretionary, and the kind of point I see for county attorney incentive funds is that that's, it is what it says it is. It's an incentive to be diligent about collecting money. It's an incentive to do that because then a county attorney's office has that to spend as they see fit.
I'm not advocating we use that fund finally. I'm just saying that could provide the cushion to give us the time to budget for it, 'cause I do somewhat dislike increasing our ending fund balance, our reserves $10,000 every year if prosecution isn't needed. I support what you're saying, that we need to have the funds available for that in a timely manner, but
Sorry, go ahead.
to see consistently increasing the ending fund balance by 10,000 because it's not getting utilized, I guess I would just like to see that.
You know, if you guys wanna cut it or have some discussion about what a more reasonable number for that miscellaneous fund is, that's fine. The way I look at it, the miscellaneous fund is a cushion, it's an emergency use fund. The county attorney incentive fund is the fund that we have to, I wouldn't say buy nice things, but buy things that help us out, that go above and beyond what we normally would look at and talk about budgeting, and it's there because of what we collected. You know, yeah, I only used $2,000-ish out of it the past couple of years. You guys, you know, wanna cut it from 14 to something like 8 or 6,000, that'd be fine. But you cut it much more than that, I'm gonna feel uncomfortable when I have expenses if I have to pay for an expert. Like, for instance, we had a commitment hearing yesterday involving psychologists and all that. I was lucky that the one that we had was out of, you know, the state mental health hospital at Oakdale, because it didn't cost us any money. But if I have to do that for a case, that money's gone. The first time I had to have an eval done, the first time I had to have expert testimony. So, yeah, I heard you guys say cut it by half, cool. If I have $7,000, fine. Will I come back to you guys if I have a case that requires an expert or requires some kind of independent testing? Sure.
That's what the budget amendment process is for, everybody here uses it.
Right,
Yeah.
but if we see that happen consistently, then we're
Yeah.
drawing from ending funds that we're not
Yeah.
supplying, so that
Just-
becomes problematic in a hurry too.
Looking at the window, just the short window that's on here, I don't see the need for that dollar amount in there. Then I could have Chantry pull a 10-year, see what was on it, but.
Go 15, and one event changes it in a hurry. I guess I'm not interested in lowering it if we're gonna have an argument or a fight if budget amendment comes because something came up. I think we need to be prepared to fund it that level or whatever presents itself. But as far as seeing the ending fund grow year after year, I just as soon not continue that, but.
Yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth, it's, in the time I've been here, it's gone up in terms of what's been budgeted, $2,000. I don't want it to keep growing unless we need it to keep growing. If you guys wanna reduce it, obviously that's within your discretion. I just don't like, having something come up and be immediately tight on budget during the process of a case that might require answers in a hurry.
Well, if we cut it in half, Jason, then we can still use that cushion that you're talking about.
But you can't spend more than the 7,000 if you cut it in half, until action is taken.
Well, yeah, that's.
As
Or is it
long,
just
no,
below
as long as your Department 4 is not in the red, a line item can be in the red, but the department and the service area cannot be in the red. It doesn't matter what fund, it has to go by department and service area. So, you know. That's what Dave Genoa looks at, that's what I look at, so we need a budget amendment.
And that is my understanding of how the Iowa code works as well.
I'm not opposed to seeing it cut in half, I just don't want us to have a fight if something comes up that we need another 3 to 7,000 because we did budget 14, but.
I don't see that, but I guess I'm not sure.
And I guess I would say, now when I think ahead, I won't go too much into details because it's a pending criminal prosecution, but I did charge my first class A felony, which is a mandatory life without prison charge. And, the victim and the defendant are such that we may well end up with expert testimony on the mental capacity, of one going down that road, I will probably be back to you guys, because I will probably toast that $7,000 in a hurry. So,
Yeah, yeah, we've got 26,000 that we've budgeted for the last 2 years that I'm not opposed to taking it out of ending fund balance, but it just needs to be budgeted.
I'm okay with going whenever, to be honest with you. Ten and a half, if you wanna leave it, if you really think.
well, you know, I don't want to have too much discussion, Ed's not here, but, hey, look, if you guys have a little heartburn about me leaving a bunch of money in year after year, why don't we just go to $10,000 on it and reduce it a little bit, and then you're less worried about rolling over money and reducing that and trimming a little bit. We'll maybe get into some kind of a place where I could get some kind of significant, expert services or other case costs taken care of before I come back to you. And if there's a little more cushion than happening, then that gives me a little more time, hopefully, while we burn through that money, when I can come back to you guys and say, hey, this is what I think the rest of X, Y, and Z is going to cost. And, yeah, you're right, I haven't used much of the $14,000 every year I've had it. I've kind of tried to stay away from it. That's kind of my, not the piggy bank, but it's the, do not smash glass unless emergency kind of thing. So. That's gonna require some digging.
What's the other comment, yeah?
What's that?
Your last comment, ask.
We had talked about some kind of a resolution of this discussion, and I said, if you guys want to reduce it, I get it. I'd be fine with reducing it to $10,000. I do have a pending case that may well require evaluations of both the defendant and the victim with regard to mental capacity or intellectual ability, and I anticipate that would require outside prosecution costs of experts. So I probably, my best guess is that unless things change, I will probably burn through much of whatever we decide to budget. If it was at $10,000, that would give me some leeway and some time before I had to come back to you guys asking for more. And I think that, it's fair if you want to reduce it to $14,000, $7,000, that's something you can burn through in a hurry if you need outside experts or outside experts. $10,000 sounds reasonable to me. And then in that case, you are trimming some potential carryover, and at the same time, I'm retaining some flexibility in how I would use my budget for prosecution costs.
Why do office chairs come out of that line item?
I had spoken with Rochelle before buying that office chair, and it was my understanding I was able to use that for that purpose. Is that recollection
Well,
correct?
I'm not for sure about, I would probably say miscellaneous versus prosecution costs, but
Because
I don't know.
that line item for prosecution costs, I don't know why you'd be taking office equipment out of that.
Yeah, maybe I have that wrong, but, in any event, I don't believe.
Is there a separate line item for your conference registration fees too?
I think.
I don't know that should have came out of that.
I think.
It was.
Education and training services.
Yeah, well, again, talk about whether that's exactly the line item or not, but like Rochelle had described, once the money is budgeted, as long as the overall budget is not in the red, it is, department head's discretion as to what it's used for. It's not like I was using it for personal expenses.
So I'm just saying it needs to come out of the right line, and if you've got something set up for education, that should probably come out of that line item. If you got something set up for office supplies, it probably should come out of that, and not, set up as criminal prosecution funding.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of, those budgets are what we anticipate things will cost in a year, and if we adjust, they did end up coming out of the miscellaneous.
Okay, because you got file cabinets and office supplies coming out of that too.
Well, you could definitely say those are prosecution cost items, because we do use those items to prosecute cases.
That's kind of just that line items come out of general supplemental, not general basic.
That's that, thank you. So when you don't feel like anything fund, you draw on it if need be.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're still getting ending fund balance in general supplemental, just not as large as general basic. You know, because general basic, we're at max 350, general supplemental, just gets a certain fund balance, and then we adjust the levy accordingly. I think you're out of the room at, but Dave DeNoble, and what I look at, we look at the fund, we look at the department to make sure that's never in the red, and the service area can't be in the red. And that's what Dave DeNoble checks on to make sure, that's what I check on too every month to make sure that the fund, or the department in the service area.
I didn't have any more questions, I guess we'll chat about this budget then.
This is budget,
Well, I mean, a preliminary budget, or you're not, how come you're not in there with the rest of these folks?
Do you have a trial going on in 27,
Yeah.
26?
We have a specially set criminal jury trial that may be resolved, but I just wanted to get ahead of things and make sure that I was available to talk with you guys before we got into a time crunch.
I guess I'd cut that kind of.
I'm okay with that, or I'm okay with the jail, whatever suggestion you guys want to do.
as long as if the need presents itself, we're prepared to provide the funding, I support that. I'm not interested in a fight over, do we really need an extra witness on that or this and that, we don't need to spend $5,000.
No, I don't have a problem with that. We need it, we need it.
Yeah.
That was half then.
And hey, the silver lining, gentlemen, is we're not a death penalty state, those cases get expensive. So,
If I had a crystal ball, I'd know what we needed, but
Do you want me to cut it to 7 is what
Yeah.
board's wishes are? Okay.
alrighty then. Gentlemen, have a good day.
Okay, now we gotta review the ad for the courthouse office repair.
Yeah, we have it in the budget for this year, no one, or Ernie had talked to a few contractor, but no one has gotten back to me on anything, and then he left and everybody dropped the ball, so I thought if I put ad in the paper, I can maybe get some more interest. I don't, that's why I have completed by June 1st of 2023, because we have it in this year's budget for paint and fixing the walls. I'm worried about Becky's office, if I don't get that done, if it does, gonna start flaking right away.
So you already have it advertised, or?
I have not, this is what I'm gonna put in the paper, I just wanted the board's approval of that, and do you guys think February 10th is soon enough, or should I push it back a little bit, or what do you?
Just running it 1 week or 2 weeks?
I was thinking about two
Yeah.
or three. I was thinking about running the 18th, the 25th, and the first of, I don't know, I can run it 4 weeks.
I'd suggest go back to the 17th, then maybe, and we can look at it on the 21st.
7th.
That would be due by the 17th, and then we'd have, no,
7th
we wouldn't meet till the 28th,
of February.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming you guys are gonna be meeting every, I don't know what you guys do, say you're meeting probably more than twice a month in February, so. That's why I thought if we did the 10th, I could put in the 18th, the 25th, and the 1st, and then the 8th, and then you could have it, and then you guys can review it on the 14th of February. But I'll do whatever the board wishes,
That sounds good.
just leave it on the 10th, and
Need a motion for that?
please.
I'll make that motion.
Everybody in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we need a approved pay increase for Myron Moore as the deputy jailer.
I'll make that motion. Support.
Everybody in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. System review quarterly reports.
We have Nathan Peters first, for Viola Township.
Okay, Nathan Peters is my township trustee.
Motion for that appointment. I'll support that.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
We have a clerk too, I just didn't get it, didn't get the notification for after the agenda was posted, so we'll do that the next time.
Sure.
Yeah. So, Gentry's been working really hard trying to fill those positions. Here's a quarterly report. The auditor and recorders.
Quarterly reports.
How's it going today, George?
Good, how you guys?
Not bad.
Good. Looks like you're busy.
Budget time. Do we need to make a motion on those
I'll come back.
reports?
No,
Just to look at?
just to look
I'll
at.
come back to groups, they got pictures I wanted to get a
Okay.
couple of groups,
Sounds
so go on,
good.
thanks.
'cause they're not gonna have liquor. So we got notification from the state that we had to refund them, that's our portion of the money. That's what my mind was thinking anyways, the new hotel's not gonna have liquor. Yeah, I can't.
Tuesday afternoons.
I need to talk to the board. Sharon didn't know when she was gonna have her meeting. She was thinking on the 25th, that Wednesday, or she could do it next week, Tuesday, the 17th. She didn't know what would work best for the board. If she did it on the 25th, then I probably would push the budgets back. I don't know, she thought maybe take a half hour, I don't know. I don't know what the board
Yeah, no,
wants
that
me to do.
Tuesday afternoon, I was wondering about.
Oh.
We've got afternoon ones before.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
sure.